All right, everyone, we're going to be doing our last lecture here around privileged identity management. Very big deal here nowadays, and this is a very hot topic, which is why I've split it out from the other section that we talked about with the identity governance. So diving right in here, let's start looking at the on-prem logic. Traditionally, we would have a separate delegated account inside of Active Directory. Now, this would be a domain administrator or whatever, but it would be separate. We would have two separate accounts, one for our regular day-to-day activities. It would have our email and our server, our day-to-day stuff that we would do. And that would be, for instance, Alloway, like we've seen already before. But I also will have a delegated admin account here, which is Alloway-admin. So again, this is a completely separate identity with a completely separate password, and everything is different. Well, this isn't bad, and this was a common practice here on premise. However, when we start looking at PIM, now we're actually able to utilize different scenarios here, and we can actually keep our one account but elevate it as we need it to be elevated. So essentially the way that it works here is it's securing access to privileged roles inside of Azure Active Directory. Now it's a kind of a definition of it, if you will. But again, what we're looking at here, what does it do? Let's look at some of the features that it can do. Now this is straight from Microsoft. So we have just-in-time, provide just-in-time privileged access to Azure AD and resources. Now really what that means is, okay, I am on my account. I need to elevate my account in order to do my activities. Okay, so in order to do so, I have to go through a process to essentially up my privilege account. So I'm just a standard user. I elevate myself, and then I'm able to do what I need to do for a period of time. That's the next piece. Assign time-bound access to resources using start and end dates. Now we can do time-bound based off of, okay, for 3 months you have the access to elevate yourself, but that's it. Or we can do perpetual. You always have the ability to elevate yourself, but you can only do it for 2 hours at a time. We can also do approval process to activate privilege roles here. Now this one is a little bit annoying because we have to go through, if I need to do my job, I have to go through an approval process to do my job. That's where it comes into play and we start looking at other factors. These may be things that we don't need to do day-to-day activities like that guest inviter role or something like that. That may come into play. Enable or enforce, not really enable here, but enforce multi-factor authentication to activate any type of role, which again, this is a good practice to do. Use a justification to understand why users are activating. So far, we've been doing some justifications, and we've seen them that, hey, so-and-so needed to do their job. That's why they put the justification in there. All of that is written to the logs. So we're able to see what these people are putting in there. And again, we're essentially keeping out bad actors and such when they go through this process here. Of course, their justifications, if they do put in here, are going to be nothing. But a standard user is that, hey, I need to do this. Well, they're going to actually put the truthful answer in there because they really need to do their job. So we will be able to essentially audit all of these things here too. We can get notification when privileged roles are activated. So-and-so just elevated their account. That's fine. That's helpful and it's useful. It could be too many roles or too many emails you may be getting to, depending on the size of your organization. Access reviews. We just looked at what these are, is that we can do an access review to say, hey, do you still need access to these roles? And essentially go through that approval process that we saw there, is that it's all automated flows there. Nice part here, we can download audit history for internal and external audits. This is a big compliance factor nowadays. We need to see everybody's privileged accounts and when and what they have done during this period of time. Most importantly, this prevents removal of the last global administrator and privileged role administrator role assignments. You are unable to remove that last global administrator there. Somebody always has to be a global administrator, of course. So that essentially leaves it to that backdoor admin that we created, or if you want to call it a break glass account scenario. So with that being said, let's jump over into the lab here and we can finish out this section on privileged identity management, and we can go through a demonstration of what it looks like and what it can do. With that being said, we're done here. I'll see you over in the lab.